Like I see that all the time. It's like, oh, I'm starting a business. I need to. I'm like, can you make some money first?
Yeah,
Like make 500. You don't even know if it'll work first. Make at least
right.
like $3,000 and use that money to spend on this. But that's like the first thing people do is I need the LLC. I came up with a business idea, but it's like you
Yep.
have no idea how this business is gonna work, function, or any of
There's a lot of hats. He has a background in finance. This guy's hair is amazing. So if you're watching this on YouTube, and if you're not, you got to go to YouTube and just check it out. All right.
that.
I'm in love with this hair. No, it's awesome. This guy is amazing, guys. I can't wait for you to hear his story. We all know all these accolades and people are reading this on social media. But Sherman, we all know you didn't start there.
No.
So please tell our audience what went wrong.
Okay, so a lot of things went wrong. So I'm gonna just go to the very first thing that was kind of like, oh my God, what the hell is happening in my life? So, done with college, and then I'm working at a mortgage brokerage in Atlanta. And so, I'm motivated. I'm like, yeah, I finally got a way to make money. I have a job, because it was a really, 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 really big struggle. And one of my friends, we went to this office building and we were like, we're just gonna knock on doors and see if people are hiring. And so that's what we
Yeah.
did. And I found one
Yeah.
company that was hiring, and I'm motivated, I'm positive. I'm like, yeah, okay, I made it. Then it was trash. But then there was another company that was hiring, and then the pandemic happened. Not the pandemic, the recession happened, and so there was like a slither of a chance for anyone to actually like get a mortgage, especially in like small Georgia, right? And I just was like, man, I'm thinking that I'm getting these blessings, but they always go belly up, because when you're an opportunist, when you try to manifest an opportunity and then it happens and then it just goes boop, you're just like, oh, like it's like the worst thing in the world because you think that you've made it, right? But,
Yep.
after that, I was like, man, this isn't working. I'm going to move back to California. California should have more opportunity. It was even worse. And so then I was like, the only way that I could eat every day is to figure out how to make money on my own because no one was hiring. I mean, I would have been a janitor if I could have been one. Like, it was
Yeah.
horrible. I'm used to being a professional. I worked in the mortgage industry. And I was just like, man, I can't even get a security job. The economy is so bad. And I recall myself having this opportunity to tutor this one lady's son in math, right? And so I was like, okay, cool, I'm gonna do it. And I was making $20 for an hour, but then I would stretch that $20 from week to week, and I would eat like fried chicken, a soda, and some fries once a day, just
Oh,
to
wow.
survive. And I would I would like really stretch that $20, and it was just a crazy time. But then it was just like, man, you have absolutely no choice but to become an entrepreneur. And so I started throwing events, and then throwing events, I started to gain a network of people and get a little traction because people still wanted to have a good time and be in entertainment and things like that. And so I would be on Instagram, Facebook, adding people, trying to get people to come to an event. And then with that, I ended up creating a large network. And then I still was an entrepreneur. I was flipping cars and things like that. Then I got a job at Wells Fargo, worked there, thought I made it. I'm gonna move up the ladder. I was doing good. I was like one of the best employees in the company. And then we got laid off. And then I was like, damn, here we go again. But I had a daughter. So that just changed the game because I was like, man, I'm a father now. I have to take care of this child. She's only a few months old and I have no income. But thank God for unemployment. But while I was on unemployment, I was like, okay, I'm gonna start, because I used to do taxes for people just whatever, right? But then I was like, okay, I'm gonna figure out a way to do it and do it the professional way so I could take the money out of the refund because a lot of people don't even have money to pay me. And so with that, I was just like, okay, I have to market, I have to promote. I just went super hard in the paint when it came to doing taxes, right? And so, I was getting my first check and well, not a check, but a deposit, and the deposit was $20,000, and I was like, "What the hell?" Like I was just shocked, And after that, within the next few years, I just built several businesses off of that income, that I was making doing taxes. But I learned how to do taxes, by the way, because my story is pretty layered, by an accountant who I was in real estate class with. So he sat me down, he taught me how to do taxes, and I was just doing it for my friends. But then when I really became a professional at it, that's when I just took off and as an entrepreneur and, started doing commercial real estate and other things like that.
Wow, you have a lot. Yeah, like you said, you have a lot of layers to
Yeah,
your
because I'm
story.
like, did I miss something? I'm trying to figure it
No,
out.
no, no.
But yeah, that's basically the gist of like how things just came to pass and how even though you don't know what's happening at the moment, your life will unfold to the way you ultimately want to be, right? Like say I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur. Like in the back of my mind, I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. So it's like, okay, I know you want to be that, right? If you believe in God, God will say, I know you want to be that, but why are you working a job? Okay, I'll let you work this a little bit to get your money, but I have to point you in the direction where you really want to go at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Because I could have
Well,
been
that's
a stellar employee.
Did you know the number one way to build wealth is through real estate? Have you always wanted to buy your first income property, but you didn't know where to start? Join my group, Legacy Wealth Builders, where we will teach you how to buy your first income property and then keep your wealth by teaching the success and wealth principles to your kids. Because it's not just about building your wealth, but it's about keeping it for generations to come. So click the link, join our group, because for the month of June, the group is free. So get all the training you need and join the group now. Right. Well, that I want to go back to that part of your story because and I know when when I ask people to share their story, it's like I want to get it all in and I don't want to talk your ear off, and so I get like, going through the story. But I want to go back a little bit because you went
Mhm.
from Atlanta to California and you said there was nothing, like you couldn't even be a janitor.
Yeah.
I mean, and I feel like we're in those times right now where people are like, not that there's not jobs out there, but there's so many layers since we've had the pandemic of
Mhm.
like, what's the cost of it and people were home and, they want to be with their family, it's just a little different dynamic. But when you were there, you were like, I was willing to like go hustle. Did you have any kids at this time? Were you married or did
Oh
you
no.
met your wife or anything? So you're fresh out of college, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that's kind of how I was when I got out of college. There was slim pickings.
Mhm.
It was like, I had to go work at with my dad's construction company and I had a college degree and I'm like I was the parts girl. Like what's happening here? Like this is ridiculous. So
Yeah.
I get you on that level. So you went back to California and you
Mhm.
couldn't find a job.
Mhm.
So you said and that's when you started doing the events,
Right.
correct?
Mhm.
So what sparked that? And was that like just you? Were you just, like when the money started coming on, was there an aha moment? Because, you're willing to work for someone else. You have this degree. I know you always had this itch to do something on your own, but did that kind of scratch the itch? Did that intensify you, to lead to something else?
That well, it wasn't like I made like a killing doing that. It was just like just enough to get by as
Yeah.
somebody living, at their parents' house. But my friends were already doing events, so I was just like, okay, I'm gonna tag along, because we got like a
Okay.
clique, like a group of
Yeah.
guys that, were friends, and then we started throwing events. And I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna throw showcases for people that want to be artists, whether R&B, hip hop, or whatever.
Okay.
And it's crazy because like the first showcase I had, Kendrick Lamar performed there for free,
Oh,
by the
wow.
way. And I was just, and I have a picture of me, him, and my friend that we threw events with, and it's just crazy that a lot of people that performed at that first showcase ended up being like really successful artists. But it was just like the fact that I had them also sell tickets and stuff like that in order to perform to attract a crowd to
Yeah.
the event. But it was like creating an event in your mind and having it come into fruition, having
Yeah.
people enjoy themselves at the event was like amazing to me. It was just like, and when I was there, I didn't really enjoy myself. I don't even think I ate that day, but it was just like me just making sure everything was on point,
Yeah.
and I love that because I was able to just bring my creativity to the table and to see like a baby come to life in one night. Because and then when you're
Right.
doing something like that, it's like one shot, one kill. So
Yep.
me, I'm like, you know what I mean? I'm like, no, this can't mess up. Like I even
Right.
planned my entire wedding. I did that, me and my wife. And so it was like, it was so intense where it was like, hey, listen to this song. How does this song make you feel when you listen to it? Okay,
Yeah.
no, never mind.
Yeah.
Okay, now we're gonna do this song. And I planned every single song to the T that the DJ was gonna play. And when I was walking out down the aisle, the DJ played the wrong song, and I got so pissed off in my mind. But I couldn't do anything, and then I was like, well, it wasn't a bad choice,
Right.
right,
It's okay. I got to roll with this,
right. Yeah, so it was just from that. I feel like me doing that was a blessing because it got my name out there, and people started
Hmm.
to know who I was,
Yeah.
in LA. So it's like people still remember me from those times because of what we had going on. Like we had a lot of traction. But as an entrepreneur, you need people to know your face, know who you are, and to know what
Yeah.
you do. So that was kind of like a catapult into me being an entrepreneur. Now it's like, oh, this guy does taxes. He helps get people thousands of dollars back on their taxes. Oh yeah, I mean he's cool. Yeah, I know who he is. He's been, all right, cool. I'm gonna work with him. Because if it wasn't for me doing the events, I already know I wouldn't be that successful doing taxes at all whatsoever.
Right. You got your name out there. People knew who you were. They
Yeah,
trusted you in that aspect. And
right.
yeah, for sure. And you just did it. The thing, like what you said about your story was, it wasn't like I was making millions,
Right.
but you were also investing in getting different kind of assets out of it. Not
Hmm.
just money, but you were getting those relationships, those
Oh yeah.
collaborations that were going to lead to that.
Hmm.
And it can be hard as an entrepreneur in the beginning, right?
Yeah.
But I know that emotionally, when you're going through those times, and you're waking up and, just like you said, I was so angry, but
Yeah.
then you learn to just let it go,
Yeah.
of like, okay, that happened for a reason. But sometimes when we're in it, it's really hard to let that anger go, whether that's your wedding or another event or
Hmm.
another process. But you said you did events and then you do some car flipping,
Right.
right? To kind
Hmm.
of help, pay the bills and maybe kind of build something. I like what you did because you were just doing the next thing.
Yep.
I think everybody, I'm a big visionary, like you have to have a big vision, but sometimes you just have to do the next thing. Like
Hmm.
your business doesn't have to be mapped out from 0 to 10 years perfectly of how exactly it's going
No.
to go because we all know it's not going to.
No.
But then I know that you were going to have your daughter. And so you're like, I got to buckle down
Hmm.
and I got to get a job because I
Hmm.
have to have consistent money. Tell us just a little bit about that. And I want you to go there emotionally. Like, I want you to just really be real with our audience because some
Yeah.
people are there right now because it's AKA the recession. And
Hmm.
maybe there's some people that were entrepreneurs and they just cannot seem to get it going and they want to go to that security of having a job, having a consistent paycheck. Just kind of share with our audience why you did that, and then would you do that again, or what would you kind of advise looking back in hindsight?
Um. Well, I was actually at the auction when I got the call, and I wasn't even looking for a job. I think I just had my resume up on Monster.com, and a recruiter contacted me while I was about to flip a car. But when you're flipping cars, it's risky because you could buy a car that is messed up, have mechanical issues and all of that. And so, but then you have to pay to get it fixed. You have to wait for it to sell. But as the day goes by, you need money. So I
Yeah.
was like, it's not really stable. It's cool right now, but it's not stable at all. And it's pretty expensive when you're relying on your own cash and your own capital for these expenses and things like that. Like I didn't have a $50,000 line of credit that my competitors
Mhm.
had. I had cash, so it was like,
Yep.
okay, I'm gonna put down cash. And then I figured it out. I was like, hold on, these guys are buying these cars with credit lines. Like I was like, oh my God. So, then I was just like, man, I have a daughter, and the way I was thinking was like, man, I have to go hard for her at whatever I'm doing. But it will be nice to have some type of stability. And then I just got the phone call, and back then, $20 an hour was enough. I was
Yeah.
pretty good in 2012, so I was like, oh hell yeah, I'll do it. So I went,
Yeah.
did the interview, got the position, started, and I was pretty fine with it because it was like along the lines of what I've always did. And to me, like when I interviewed you a couple of days ago, it was like, man, I'm gonna be doing stuff on the side. Like I don't care what's going
Yeah.
on. So I was still doing taxes, and I was like, I would take a day off and I would go to the auction and see what cars I could buy. So it was
Right.
kind of like, okay, I have a steady cash flow now. I could basically, implement doing more since I have a cash flow and I'm not working with credit. So that's
Right.
the way I've kind of looked at it because at the end of the day, I mean, if you're an entrepreneur, you need money to make money, so
Yeah.
anybody that tells you anything different does not know what they're talking about because,
Right.
trust, there's people out there that's working with, $300,000, $250,000 in credit and they will crush you, like
Yep.
you're not paying for advertising, you don't have the resources, you don't have an assistant, you know what I'm saying? So it's like you either have to wear all of those hats and have your presentation be the best that it could be, or you have to figure out a way to make money so that you can actually make money.
Yep.
And I have a story about that. Just real quick. Like I had a business where I was doing import, export, and importing and exporting products. And so I set it up. Everything was good, and I would put out quotes, probably like 20 or whatever a day. And then something came in my mind and was like, you need to hire other people. And I was like, but where? And then like, oh, the Philippines. I was like, oh, okay, all right, whatever. Hired two people from the Philippines, paid them like a couple dollars an hour, taught them how to do what I was doing, and my business took off like crazy. I was like, whoa, 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 what's going on? And I was like, well, I mean, you hire people to do it, you taught them how to do it, and it's easy for them to pick it up. So they're pushing
Yep.
it out, almost like a machine because they're just
Yep.
following the process. Your mind doesn't follow, processes like that. Like you'll just get bored, and so it slows you down. But other people,
Yep.
they're just like, doo, 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 doo. Like everybody's brains function differently.
Right.
And so that's
Yep.
one thing that I learned about entrepreneurship is that you have to figure out what you're good at and either partner with or pay somebody that's, good at what you're not good at.
Yes, of course.
Hmm.
So you took this job
Yeah.
and then you put your heart and soul in it. And I know you sacrificed some time
Oh, for
with your
sure.
family. I mean, doing some stuff and maybe a little soul crushing, just a little bit, right in
Yeah.
there. But but you did what you took. I love what you said about you have to have that line of credit because one of my mentors said your job is the best loan that or how to your best investor in your business because it's paying you if you're still doing that side hustle. So I love that
Yeah.
you're still doing the side hustle, doing what it takes. I love that.
Hmm.
And then you get the call or they brought you into the office or what happened that
Oh,
changed things for you.
well, I kind of knew, I could kind of tell that it was about to crash because we were doing HARP loans for the for people that got impacted by the recession. And then it's
Mhm.
like you can only do so many HARP loans.
Yeah.
And then the work started to slow up, and I was like, "There's no way they're gonna keep us here not doing nothing." Then one
Right.
day, and so I actually started looking for a job while I was there. I was like, I could kind of see like they're not gonna pay me just to sit here and do 3 or 4 loans. And so next thing you know, the I'm not sure what you call the office manager or whatever. He came in and he was just like, "Yeah, guys, we're gonna let you guys go," and this is and the third, and he was crying. And I'm like, I can
Yeah.
see why he's crying because he's getting paid like 140,000 a year, but all of us are just like, oh well, on to the next. But then it was just like, man, like I never really got unemployment or anything like that. So
Yeah.
someone told me like, oh, you could just get unemployment. I was like, oh, thank God. But I just wasn't, used to that because I was always doing like commission only or something like that. But
Right.
that actually like helped me out a lot. Like I was at least able to pay my rent and some of my bills and, provide. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, but then like during that time, I was like, okay, I have to go super hard on my business because it
Yeah.
was like that's the only way I could eat.
And was that your doing the tax business or
Yeah, the
what
tax
business were you
business.
okay, the
Because I
tax
was doing the
business.
tax business when I was there, but I was just like, and you can make quite a bit of money doing taxes, but then it was just kind of like, okay, I have to really, get this going, and I even like incentivize people for bringing me clients because
Yeah.
when you do one person very well, they'll tell other people. And
Yeah.
sometimes some people, I still do taxes by the way, And sometimes I'm like, how did I even meet this person? And it's
Right.
like they met me through somebody taxes that I did, and this person. You know what I mean? So it's like
Yeah.
it was kind of like that. Pretty interesting. But if you do well, you know, somebody's gonna refer you to someone else and someone else and someone else. And when people have been seeing you promoting and doing the same thing for years, it's just something's bound to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's just so funny that you do finance and taxes because if I looked at you, I mean, you don't try not to judge a person, but taxes is not what. So if you're just listening to this on the podcast, you got to go to YouTube and you got to check out Sherman. I mean, you just look like a bodybuilder, like someone that's just gonna like rough you up like a football player, and then you're like, I do people's taxes. It's just
Yeah.
because I think we think of that tax accountant, as that little kind of nerdy kid, like
Hmm.
not kind of scrawny, just like gonna pencil pusher, and here you are like, I'm gonna take your taxes. I'd be like, okay, great, let's go for it. So it's just so funny that that's what you do. And so now you've built this business. How did that lead into what you're doing now? You say you still do taxes, but what
Hmm.
is your dominant source, your business, your passion right now that you're doing?
Well, right now I'm kind of like in a reinvention stage because I actually wanted, like, say, when it came to doing taxes, right? I was basically helping people make money in some
Yeah.
kind of way. So I
Yeah.
know that my talent is helping people make money, and I'm
Yeah.
creating, just trying to basically put that all in a package and create a package and be like, okay, this is how I'm going to help you make money because I do consulting. You know, people call me, hey man, what do you think about this? Just because they know I've been dealing in the financial realm for so long. And I was just like, man, I have to come up with something to actually like serve people that contact me and ask me all of these questions because if you know how to do taxes, you're basically going to be familiar with everything else like trust and
Yeah.
corporations and LLCs and business credit and things like that. So it's like with doing taxes, I've learned I accumulated so much knowledge, and so I'm just like, okay, I have to figure out a way to actually like help people make money because at first I was doing like personal training and things like that because my passion is fitness. But the way the
Hmm.
world is now, I kind of don't think that people really care about it. Like, I'm like, because now it's just like people are just looking to survive, and it's just a
Yeah.
whole different type of energy now. It's like, man, how am I gonna eat? I need opportunity.
Yeah.
Like me paying $300 or 500 a month to work out. That's not really a priority right now.
Right.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so I had to like really think about the market, and be honest with myself about the market, where it's kind of like, man, a lot of people are personal trainers. A lot of people are, doing unethical things, as because you were in the industry to look the
Yep.
part and then selling their clients, a dream. You know what I'm saying? And so I was just like, I
Yep.
don't really want to do anything like that. At the end of the
Yeah.
day, one thing I know for sure is that I help people make a lot of money. So if you just focus on that and create something for that, then cool. You know what I'm saying? Because even though I'm kind of like, I wanted to reinvent myself and do new things, but then I was like, I mean, you've been doing this for 20 years. It was never a problem, So it's
Right.
like, just figure out a way to package it and help more people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that is such a good service. I mean,
Hmm.
it's kind of like recession proof because people always want to make money,
Right.
and but now especially, and it's just about how you can help them in that specific time. And I think so many people don't realize that the number one thing that you pay for is taxes.
Right.
I mean, if you do not figure out a way to reduce your tax spend, the
Hmm.
number one bill you pay is not your mortgage, not your insurance, it's your taxes.
Right.
And so I love that you're helping people understand that and know that. And that's one thing, like my husband and I are getting more educated and bringing people in that are experts in like tax strategy and tax savings and different avenues like that. And we're currently in a situation right now with our taxes where we're like, because it's a game. It's like this
Hmm.
ebbs and flows because we have several businesses. We're real estate investors. And so trying to find those ways ethically
Right.
that, it's like, I don't want to take anything that's not mine, but at the same time, the government has no problem taking all the stuff that is mine,
Right.
and I work really hard for it. So it's
Right.
like, there are things that you can do as an entrepreneur, and if you don't know them, they're not going to tell you. Like, the
Mhm.
IRS is not going to tell you, hey, you could save more money. They're just going to let you do your thing. And so
No.
you have to be educated or find those people that are.
Mhm.
And, the trust there, I think that's where people struggle with, like, trusting, the right person. Because what do you see on every movie where the wealthy guy, all of a sudden he's getting an IRS, paper? It's like, oh, your accountant lives in the Cayman Islands now with all your money. So I
Right.
think accountants sometimes get that bad rap, but it's like, there are awesome accountants or tax strategists, people that know what they're talking about to help save you the most money.
Mhm.
Because if you don't invest in them, you're going to invest in the government, because you're going to be giving it to the government.
Yeah.
So I am, like, totally on board with, spending, like, looking at it as an investment when you're looking at those high quality people who really know taxes and tax strategy and know how they can save you the most money, and then in turn take that money you save and invest it in your business, and
Mhm.
make more income on your business, or buy assets like what we do. So
Yeah.
I love that. How can our audience find you? Where are you located? What projects do you have going on?
Militantgrind.com is like my source. Where I can be found, reach, all of that. If you send me an inquiry, I'll be available. I'm not on any social medias at the moment, but my website has it all. So
Awesome. And we'll put all the links in there. Um, like, so people are, like, driving, like, trying to figure it out, but it's like, I just like people to know that I know you have the Militant Grind, and you have the pod, because he's a podcaster as well. So check out his podcast on every social podcast platform. Are you on YouTube?
yeah, I'm on
Yeah,
YouTube. So
that's what
yeah,
I thought.
Militant
Yeah.
Grind is on YouTube, and currently,
Yep.
just to answer your latter question, what I'm working on now is just creating packages for businesses as far as like business development, because I feel like that's really a need right now. It's easy and simple for me, but then I've noticed that a lot of people have no idea how to structure a
Right.
business. They have an idea, but then it's like when it comes to bringing it to fruition, there's a lot of steps that are missed. And
Yep.
so I have a friend that works for the IRS, and I talked to her the other day, and she was like, "Can you please go online and teach people what an LLC is, and a corporation, and a sole
Mhm.
proprietorship?" And me, I'm like, "Oh, it's simple, because I knew what a sole
Yep.
proprietorship was in high school, but for some people, it's like they just don't know.
They just don't know. I
Sometimes
know.
what's easy to us and simple to us is not easy for everyone else.
No. And
Yeah.
I think people come into a business, and we talked about this the other day, but they're the creator. Like, they want to
Mhm.
create something, or they have a service or a skill set, and they want to teach it or do it. Even like the plumber, or my dad was an electrician, but everything else they suck at.
Yeah.
What it really takes to be a business. And so you have to talk to somebody, who has the gifting like you have, or other consultants, to figure out the right way. And so
Mhm.
I mean, I look at you and I'm like, man, we might need to be collaborating for our group, because we work with entrepreneurs and helping them build their assets, so build their income properties, so that that is a source to save on taxes, but also just tax strategy, so how you can keep your wealth. So
Yeah.
we teach them, we bring experts in like you,
Mhm.
where they can teach them the tax strategy, so you're keeping more money in your pocket, and then teaching wealth principles to your kids. So, I definitely see a
Yeah.
collaboration happening there, just because I know you're a wealth of knowledge. Like what you said, like, dude, I know it. Like, that's cool. But it's funny because it really, when you're talking sole proprietorship and LLC and corporation,
Mhm.
it depends, because some accountants, they're like, no, you don't need an LLC. But then you'll talk to others, and yes, you need this LLC.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different minds. And I think when you can break it down for people of why they need it and
Mhm.
when they need it,
Mhm.
because you don't need it to get started, but you
Right.
do need it eventually to protect yourself, just like there's life insurance policies and things like that. But
Mhm.
anyway, getting ahead of myself, but I
No, no,
see
no.
your,
You're absolutely right. You're right. Like I see that all the time. It's like, oh, I'm starting a business. I need to. I'm like, can you make some money first? You
Yeah.
know, like make 500. You don't even know if it'll work first. Make at least
Right.
like $3,000 and use that money to spend on this. You know, but that's like the first thing people do is I need an LLC. I came up with a business idea, but it's like you
Yep.
have no idea how this business is gonna work, function, or any of that. You know,
Yeah.
and I just say,
Yeah.
I mean, sole proprietorship that could be you, your social. Like, you know, you could
Yep.
actually start a
Yeah.
business with your name. Like, it's super
Yep.
simple, but people,
Yeah.
you know, they start off a little bit too complex, you
Yeah.
know, and
I
it's
know.
crazy. And
Yeah.
then when it comes to investments, you know, it's kind of crazy because like a lot of people have no idea what the 1031 is, you know, and I'm just
Yeah.
like, you have no idea, you know,
Yes, I know.
like,
Yes.
oh
Well,
my
and that's
God,
where yeah, that and
if
that's
you
where people
only
can be.
implemented that, huh?
I know, I know. And that's where people can be. And that's right now, even like I think about this in the context of this podcast where what went wrong? Well, I
Hmm.
trusted the wrong person, or I jumped into it too soon, or I wasn't educated, So you guys who are listening to this, you might be in that, like where you're creating a business right now, or you're in a business, or maybe you need the job so you can do the side hustle that becomes the business, but you
Hmm.
still need to know how to run the business. And whether you're in the AKA what went wrong, or you're coming out of it, or whatever stage you're at, just remember, you have to have that right knowledge, that right education, and you just need to persist. Keep persisting, finding mentorship, finding consultants, finding coaches, because when you're in it, and I know Sherman, when you were in it, hustling for this, and doesn't he just sound so cool? Like you make it sound like, yeah, I was just doing this, but like we all know, like when you're in it,
Hmm.
every day you wake up and your mind is just going.
Oh yeah.
Like what can I do? Like what can I do next? And there's people that are there right now where they're like, I was making 10K a month, 6 months ago, and now the well's dry, and I might have to go take that job, but I don't want to admit failure, or I don't want to admit that. You might need that for a little bit to keep you
Yeah.
afloat, and that's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Or, maybe it means you need to hustle more or anything like that. But if this podcast served you, if Sherman served you in any way, remember to share this. Guys, share this podcast on your social media, share it with a friend, let them listen and get these amazing tips from Sherman and his experience so that they can have, similar results, or just get that bit of hope, because we all just need that right now. Just a little bit of hope. I know when Sherman was struggling with his, should I take this job, or is this job going to work? It's just that little bit of hope that it's going to work
Hmm.
that got him through it, that got him through the failure, got him through the what went wrong. So
Yeah.
guys, if you're in the what went wrong right now, just stay persistent, keep the course, because the what went wrong will lead to the what went right if you just keep going.
Yeah.
All right, bye for now, guys.